What history tells us about gold's sharp moves. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Ainslie Insights, brought to you by ainslie.com.au, the home of Ainslie Bullion, Ainslie Crypto, Ainslie Wealth, and the Gold and Silver Standard. Be sure to have a look. Today, welcome back, Alex. It's been a while because you've just been so busy. Everything's been happening all at once, as it always does. It's great to get you back on here. People have been asking, they're saying, we need to know what Alex thinks. How are you going today, Alex?
I'm going really well. I like to go away on holidays, and the market absolutely goes the wrong way for me to be on holidays. That's usually what happens. So it
It
was
it
good
doesn't let you take it. It does. It goes, "No, no, we're not
every
gonna let you
time.
do that." You've just been flat out, and it's very interesting. You've chosen an angle today to talk about with really the drop we saw. So we saw a significant sort of pullback earlier in the week, and you said this isn't really unusual. We've seen this before. It's really interesting to look at the past. You talked about the lead up to the financial crisis as being an example, and there were some similarities there. Can you talk to us about that and how uh, really you can't just react in the moment?
No, like I know for all the investors out there, this is a terrifying thing. I've been doing it for so long, and I've had some uh, close calls, I guess, where you want to give up. But uh, you've got to remember why you're buying gold and silver. You're buying gold and silver because you're worried about the state of the market, and nothing has changed.
Yeah.
So, if you look at what happened to gold, that sort of drops happened four times in the last 2 decades. Of the one in 2011 was a bit different, but that was probably coming out of the GFC. There was a drop and a realization, and gold did start dropping on the back of that. But the other three times were all at crisis points. And COVID was a fourth time where that happened. And every single one of them, gold has had a sustained rally afterwards for years to come. So, despite the fact that gold dropped this week, I think it's only 5 or 6 days that people would have lost on their investment. So everyone should just kick back, have some coffee, remember why they've done it, and just go, this happens in every market.
And there's a lot to that, to this idea of crisis, because there are a few things bubbling under the surface that could be the catalyst for crisis. And you have highlighted in the past that investors often sell their best performing assets when crisis is emerging, in any form, really, and they dump that quickly because is that just because they've got access to it, that it's liquid capital? Why
It,
do people do that? It's like they sell the wrong thing.
it's just a psychological thing. When you see green and you're like, I'm not going to lose on that investment, you sell your green investment to cover your losses on your red investment, and you've done literally the wrong thing. If the red investment's going on, that's the one you should be selling. You shouldn't be selling your green investment to cover your losses. But so it's a psychological thing. It's totally normal, and it exaggerates drops that perhaps shouldn't be there. So Tuesday, I think there was a lot of talk about people perhaps buying bonds because I guess because things were changing again and the government shutdown was finishing, so people were switching over. So people have jumped over from dump their gold because it's winning, move to their losing assets, which is bonds, and here we are. So I mean, it's crept back up a little bit. If you watch platinum, that came off like in Aussie 5,000, oh no, I think 7,000 US a kilo, so nearly 10%. It's recovered nearly all of it, and that's the one I actually watch to see what's going on in the market because it seems to react faster.
I need to dig into this topic with you too, because it's one that you're in a prime position to be able to talk to us about. This growing divergence between the spot prices and the physical bullion demand. We've seen you've been talking about this for a long time, but it's almost like it's coming to a head, and people are shocked when they shouldn't really be shocked because you've been telling them this would happen. But we've seen the premiums and the leasing rates spike. People might not be familiar with that, so it might be a good place to start sort of explaining what that is. But when these spike, people don't really understand what's going on. But you just talk about platinum as an area that you watch to see what's really going on in the market. The premiums are also an area to watch, and it's something that people get a little bit caught off by. They go, "Oh, you're just increasing your prices." They think you're just taking advantage of the price being higher, but that's not what's really happening. Can you talk to us about that, because you're in a really good position to be able to explain that to us?
So I'll start with leasing rates. So Definitely there's been shortages at LBMA, particularly on platinum and silver. Now, platinum was led by something different. That was by Trump's tariffs. But silver this time is shortages. There's a huge amount of silver going to India. Investors there used to only invest in gold. They've now decided, I think gold's too expensive. So they're running to silver. You've got billions of people running to silver, and suddenly there's shortages. So the silver market went into backwardian, which is basically where spot becomes more expensive than futures. So the lease rates spiked. And what that means is that silver that was being that so if I give my silver to the LBMA and the LBMA then leases it out, it's a pretty normal process in the precious metal industry. So the people who had leased metal, who had borrowed the metal, about a week ago were paying 150% per annum on their lease metal. So what that meant is that they started buying silver, and then it led to shortages because you're not going to keep lease metal at 150%. You're going to buy your silver and quickly give it back before you go backwards 1.5 tons of silver in a year. So
Yep.
that's basically what's happened. It's led by shortages. Different things can cause it. Like platinum was definitely movements from LBMA in London over to the US. So that was a movement thing, whereas silver this time is a genuine shortage. I think we've been in deficit for 4 years. Is that right? 2 or 4
Yeah.
years? I'm not going to get
Well,
it
and
right.
I
So
think
I'm
some of
just going
those
to cover.
projections are still for another 5 years to come. Like they're not,
Yeah,
it's not going away.
we will have ongoing shortages. There have been no dedicated silver mines. So this is what is going to happen. And you've got interest in the market. So people are buying it. But then what happens in the paper market is there's a big sell off, like what happened this week. And everyone goes, well, I've still got silver. I'm not going to sell it to you at the paper market rate. I'm just going to hold this. So they do. And so it's fair and reasonable. So premiums on metals start to go up. And this is not unusual. This happens every time the paper market disconnects. It happened during COVID, and it also happened during the 2007-8 financial crisis. So there's nothing unusual about this. It's just what's going to happen when there are shortages.
So thinking back to those previous times, how long does that sustain? Does it end quite quickly? Does it take a long time to filter through the market? What's the timeline on that?
So platinum this year was at least 3 months. Um, COVID wasn't too bad. It was probably only 3 to 6 months. And GFC was 6 to 9 months. So a sustained period, basically. So it's just a disconnect in the market, and you can't get away from it. The paper market suddenly, you've got 100-to-1 contracts in silver. Physical people are going to go, no thanks, we're good.
So you talked about in the past that we've had those examples, and really that dip was almost a buying opportunity. Well, it was a buying opportunity because of what comes next. Do you think that there is a bit of a sign there that there are growing global economic geopolitical factors that really are going to lead to another surge here for gold and silver as well, platinum as well? It feels to me like that there's something brewing there. I mean, we've talked in the past about the bank issues of the liquidity that they're struggling with a little bit. And we know there's a lot of policy changes that are really untested. How are you viewing that side of things generally? Because we haven't caught up for a while on that. Do you think that it's smooth running from here, that there are risks? What's your view?
Well, US hit 38 trillion yesterday in deficits. And I mean, I've been doing this with you for 4 years? And I remember 30 and going, oh my God, what are they doing? And now, like, it is out of control. Nothing is going to change unless government get their budgets in order. Nothing will fix that unless, like Switzerland, governments legislate balanced budgets. So nothing is going to change with, two-party, diverse politics, left and right fighting. Nothing's going to bring anyone back into the middle unless balanced budgets become the thing, and people can't use deficits, or governments can't use deficits to drive votes. It is as simple as that. And until that changes, we are going to have a spectacular crash unless they fix it.
And that is not changing anytime soon, because that's active policy right now. It's been sort of touted as we've solved money, we've figured it out, and what we just do is just print money and spend it. And you go, okay, well,
Yeah.
how do you think that's going to work? Gold and silver are
Well,
telling you
what
something
are
there.
we how many votes are we missing by? Quick, throw some money over there. We'll get some more. I mean, this is insane. And it's not one political party and it's not one country. It is what is
Yep.
going on around the world. And the countries like Singapore, which I visited recently, where it's not going on, I mean, their house is in order.
And yeah, everywhere else, there's no incentive to stop it. So I think that leads me to my last question. You make the point that you made it right at the start, actually, that you need to remember why you bought in the first place. You've got to sort of put some of the volatility out of your mind and remember why. Linking it together with what you just said then, it's not getting any better. So up and to the right seems almost inevitable over time.
Nothing has changed. There was a drop. It happens. Nothing has changed. So if you're buying gold and silver because you're worried about deficits, because you're worried about economic policies, because you're worried about the world right now, well, nothing's changed. So just kick back, relax, and just go with it. You do it in every other market.
Look, fantastic words to end on. It's been great to have you back, Alex, to get your sort of sane view of the market over top of this, and to let everyone know what's really going on behind the scenes. I know people will love that, particularly that insight into the leasing rates and the technicals of how it all works. Always appreciate your time. Thank you for that today.
Thanks for having me again.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. We'll chat again soon.